everyone, this is Callie from The Truth in Story, and I'm going to be doing a couple videos centered a little bit around more of my personal spiritual practice or spiritual belief systems a little bit more. But in order to kind of segue into that discussion, I thought we would start with my animal-based decks, because I think Patrick might have been the first person to point out that I have collected quite a few animal decks specifically in this past year. Now, I don't actually think all of these. Mute my phone. I don't think I necessarily got all of these this year, but especially like the Earthbound Oracle, I want to say was last year. There's a couple of these that I've gotten last year, but I will say that the energy of sort of animal spirit energy decks have been very strong, and I didn't really set out to do it on purpose, and I wasn't really mindful of it until, as I said, Patrick had pointed out to me, and I was like, you know, you're really right. That is the truth. And so I have as always, you know me, I can't ever just do a straight, video. I do have like a secondary classification that I feel sort of works with this as well. Animals, and then kind of the natural world, which is just not much human agency involved. That's kind of the way that I view these decks. And so I do have a few other ones that are not animal based, but they do, are trees or plants or these kinds of things. So I will touch on those after I look, though, primarily at ones that I believe are primarily animal. Most of these are actual animal decks. The Shamanic Healing, the Earthbound, these two, and this one here are a little bit. They don't call themselves animal decks, but they primarily are that sort of animal moon combo energy, but it's all seems to be animal. It feels that way to me. So these are the decks that I have that are, there's just not, the energy is primarily animal spirit, with little to no human agency involved. So I'm gonna let's just take a quick look at them and see, what drew me about them. I have to start with these two because these, if I could only have two, now this would be hard. You guys know I don't like to do that because I love all my decks. But if I only had to have two kind of animal-based decks, these are the two I would keep, because this is a tarot deck and an oracle deck, and they really work for me on many different levels. So of course this is, well, let's start here. So this one goes in my bag. This is my trimmed 3rd edition of the Wild Unknown, and I do have the 1st edition and the 2nd edition untrimmed, but this I really like. Again, I don't mind the white borders of the Wild Unknown at all. I have no desire to trim my 1st edition. I had a little interest in my 2nd edition, but it really wasn't that strong. But because this is a 3rd edition, it's mass published, it's not very pricey, I just decided it would make it a little bit smaller to fit in my bag, and I really love how it turned out. And I did also do the sides in some multicolor. So I really love how it turned out, and this just kind of stays in my bag, or is going to be staying I'm going to use it, but it will stay mostly in my bag with some other things. So this is a Wild Unknown. So this is an animal deck, but there are swords. So, I prefer, ideally an animal deck simply wouldn't have objects like swords in them. So that's the only thing. I love the Wild Unknown. I use it all the time. Not all the time, but I use it a lot. It's one of my primary reading decks. Ideally, for a nature-based deck, I would prefer not to have swords, random cups, those kinds of things that are obviously human items. There's no use for cups or swords in an animal world. So, you know, that would be ideal. But other than that, and 2 cards, I don't really like the Ten of Swords. I have to work around it. I don't like the broken cups that we just saw in the 8 of Cups. But that's about it out of all the cards that I have to work around. So I consider that to be a pretty successful deck here. I'm working with a couple different ways of keeping this intact in my bag. So right now it's being wrapped with a leather thong. So that's the Wild Unknown. That's the 3rd edition. I have videos on most of these decks. I want to say all. There's a couple I'm not sure. I think I still need to put one up on this and this. Those might be the only 2. But if you see one that I don't have a walkthrough of, just let me know. I'd be happy to do it. So then the other, of course, that goes with that is the Animal Spirit Oracle. And this is by the Wild Unknown, and it is based on the 5 elements, 4 elements plus spirit, and it's just a gorgeous deck. What I love about it, I don't think you need the titles because obviously it's a beaver, it's a scorpion. I don't really need, ideally those wouldn't even be there because, you know, there's just no reason for it. That's the only card I don't like in the deck. If they ever do a 2nd edition, I hope that she redoes this. Because now, could I draw this? No. But compared to her other artwork, it just simply isn't up to par. But that's the only, again, out of, I don't remember how many cards are in this deck, but out of 63 cards, there's only 1 that I don't like. So that's still a pretty impressive rate. So again, I don't need the titles, but what I do like is that they're just titles. It's left because a mouse could mean different things to me and to you. Combining it with the earth energy and the mouse, that could mean different things. I love that there's a dragon involved. I love crow. I just love this deck. I love that there's a unicorn in the spirit. I think that would be a spirit. Yes, that's for spirit. So yeah, this is a stunning deck. It is one that I am absolutely in love with. I use this a lot in elemental readings, and I use it almost always in conjunction with the Wild Unknown. And yeah, if I had to just pick 2, and that's all I could have, is a tarot, you know, 1 tarot and 1 oracle of kind of spirit, natural-based cards, it would be these 2 decks. So those, of course, are no-brainers. This is another one that I wouldn't want to give up. This is the Earthbound Oracle, which is by Skull Garden, who also does this, the Wooden Tarot. Also doing a Lenormand deck. The dog card I can't deal with, so I won't be adding that to my collection, but I do love these 2, and this is one of my favorite decks. Again, we do have some human qualities, so these 2 are you know, a little bit pushing it, but not by much. You know, we do have a human eye, we do have arrows here, a human skull, but mostly this is very earth-based. It feels very earth-based. If you have a human heart, but that could be any kind of heart. An eyeball, truthfully, that looks like a human eye. Could that be, is there an eye that could possibly be? Sure, I don't know. I don't worry about it too much. This feels very earthy. It feels very natural world. And, you know, obviously the ink, that's a human agency situation in which a human would use acrylic ink. Love the voice card. So there is a little bit here that crosses over, but for the most part, this has lots of animals and the natural world. So I just really love this deck. I wouldn't call it an animal deck, but it's not even called that. It's called the Earthbound, and it feels like an earthy deck. And so that's why I'm kind of squeezing it in. And so while I'm at it, I'll do the other one that is kind of maybe squeezing it in, although this one I think even not as much, because we have butterflies and ants and eagles and fish. We have lots of birds and trees. We have the feminine energy with that female form. We have a handprint. But for the most part, it's very animal. You know, cups are kind of, again, human agency or human need for, you know, animals don't need a cup. But for the most part, this is really very nature feeling, very earthy based. and it just simply works. Really, that's the only two. So this to me works in that capacity of kind of stepping away from the human form and human agency and getting a little bit more earthy. So these two, while they don't call themselves animal decks, they function much the same way for me, which is why I have those in here, even though, and the same thing here, this is not considered an animal deck. I don't even know what this is called. That's terrible. It's the moon deck. There's nothing on here that says what it's called. I have to look it up by its thing. This is based on the moon. So you have lots of moon energy, but there's also a lot of animals here. So we have crickets and praying mantises, and we have, of course, moons. We have cute little mice. We have horse and bear and wolf and owl and feathers and deers and more wolves, and like an owl with a mouse. We have more deer here. We have the woods, the raccoon faces, animal skulls, the fox. Like, this to me is very animal and moon based, and that makes it a really great. I need to use this a little bit more. Actually, I need to leave this out to use a little bit more often, because the manifestations and blessings are the same either way, either side that it's on. So this to me, it very much, it's not an animal deck, it's a moon based deck, but it is a moon animal deck, and it's fantastic, and I just really do love it. I need to, again, I need to pull that out and use that more. So again, not called, or it's not setting out to be an animal deck, but it still functions that way. So that would be these three, right? And then of course we've done these two. So the rest are animal decks. Let me just kind of slide those this way. I love, this is the Animal Totem Tarot. Again, you do have swords and cups and pentacles and crowns. You do have human objects. I love this Queen of Swords. So this is a purely animal deck that is in tight and, you know, its intention is to be an animal deck. There are things like human objects, but, you know, like cups, you know, there wouldn't obviously in the natural world be cups or pentacles or swords or anything like that. But this is actually a really powerful deck. I love the way it reads. I love the guidebook for this. And it kind of was a surprise one for me. I love the naturalness of the death card. This is part of the cycle of the natural world. So I really, that's like human agency, right? So this is pelts. This is humans that have killed these animals for pelts. Whereas the death one is more of a animal. You know, there is the understanding of the cycle of life and death, even within the animal world. So, you know, ideally I would love it to just, you know, have no human agency in it whatsoever. But, you know, like I see here, we have the King of Pentacles. He's got a crown on his, just to kind of give you that reminder. But this is a really great deck, and it works absolutely beautifully. I wasn't sure what I would think of it when I purchased it, and I kind of purchased it thinking it might be something my daughter would like. She wouldn't, because there's something like that. But I actually am, oh, I love that card. Oh, I lost it. I love that one. I love that Two of Swords. It's just a really great book, deck, and it's a really great guidebook that goes with it. I quite love this deck. That's, of course, tarot. I guess we'll do the tarot that I have. This one is the Animal Wisdom Tarot. I purchased this to use for children's birth charts, and I love it for that. But I actually have found this to be quite a beautiful. Now there are, I think, 2 cards with human, but the focus is dog. So it shows the connection and the loyalty between human and dogs. But the focus here is about the dogs. So there's only, I think, 2 cards that maybe have a human being in it. But it actually reads quite beautifully. And I really like, there's like messages in the guidebook, and I will refer to those when I use it. So I love that Raven Messenger of Magic. So while I purchased this, again, for children's birth chart, there's another. But there's only 2. I think that's the only 2. Perhaps one other, but I don't think so. I really love this deck, and it has surprised me at how beautifully this reads, not just for children, but also for adults. So while it has that sort of children's book feel to the illustrations, look at that crow, 9 of feathers. It's not... Sorry, my lovely daughter popped in. Now I don't even know where I was. But my point being that this is really a lovely deck. I am so happy that I have it. I mostly still do use it for, like I said, child astrology, birth charts and the astrology reading that I do with it. But I do pull this out for adults as well sometimes. And it really, I've had nothing but really powerful and beautiful readings with it. So I'm very happy with that. But that particular, so that's a tarot deck, that's a tarot deck. I guess we'll kind of shift things around a little bit. This is a tarot deck, obviously, the wooden tarot. This is similar to the Earthbound in that, I think, no, I don't even think, see, this one is nice because this one doesn't even, has bones. Now there's a, arguably, it's got 6 fingers. There's extra eyes. Some people find uncomfortable about this is that there are often extra eyes in different places and things. But this, see, like there's 3 eyes here. So the extra eyes can be disconcerting with, we do have sort of humanoid for the gods here. But for the most part, we have plumes and we have stones, which is a little bit confusing because the stones are actually wands. I have to stop and think when I think it, and it has blooms. So we don't have the swords and the cups. So this is truly, and we have foxes with sunflower heads. So it definitely has some oddities, 2-headed hummingbird. So there is a Waters of the High Priestess feel to this. But we have stones and bones and blooms and plumes. No, blooms and plumes. Yeah, there we go. So I have to sometimes, if I don't use this a lot, I have to reorient with it. But it's very, very nature-based, very, very, turned over. Just absolutely a stunning deck. I don't use it enough, and I need to. I use it. I love that world card. It's sort of animal. Again, it's that sort of step sideways. So you have the natural world, which you really feel, and this feels much more just the natural world. And then you have the natural world step sideways. It's like just behind the veil. So it's everything's a little bit different, a little bit other in a beautiful way, but it's really powerful. And so no, that I consider to be an animal tarot deck as well. So tarot wise, I have the 3 of those. Yes, so those would be the animal tarot decks. Now, I do also, just in terms of tarot, I would also, these are animals, so these are my extra ones. This is a tarot of the trees, so this is all trees. Again, I would prefer that there wasn't swords, right? This is a very Rider-Waite-Smith, and cups. And pentacles and such. So it does have those human things there, but otherwise it's, it's all trees. There's no human beings in this deck at all. So this is definitely falls in the kind of nature aspect. So I do kind of tie that together. But if we're just talking about animals, these are the decks that I have here. But I'm just putting that on as an extra one. Now when it comes to oracle decks, as we already have talked about, this one here, love it. We should just hear. Those 2 have to be together. So we talked about that. I love, this is of course the Druid animal. And so this is a Will Worthington artwork, and it's absolutely stunning. It goes to animals that are very much tied into Druid lore. The wolf is amazing. It's just such a stunning deck. Right, so this is the Druid animal oracle by, it's the same Cargam, and then the artwork is by Will Worthington. Now this also, as again another of my add-ons that of course, you know, I can't do anything without doing an add-on, there is also a Druid plant. So this is all based on plants that drew. Now that does have maybe one other person in it, but for the most part, it's a deck based on trees and plants that would be used in. So this is very much, you know, natural earth. So it kind of, you know, goes along as an add-on, and it, of course, if you mix these two together, it makes a really great combo deck as well. So this isn't got any animals in it, but it's still kind of natural world. So that's why that's what that little pile. So we have a subcategory, a couple subcategories, right? But this is animal. So Druid Animal Oracle, love it, love it, love it, love it. This is the Beasts of Albion, which in some ways are quite similar to the Animal Spirit in that it does have actually a system. You can see with the colors as well as the bands that mean something. So it actually does have, I haven't done a lot of work with this, and what I have done is mostly just been using the animals. But one of the things I do like about it is that it does simply have the animal, spider, cow, you know, it simply has the animal. So how you might, look at the beautiful red breast, how you might view, and it does have a dragon, which I love that it has a dragon. You know, how you might use interpret these animals can be left open somewhat to interpretation because of the fact that it just has names on it. There is nothing there, even though there is, again, a system. And again, I haven't done a lot of work with this. I need to do some more straight work with it, but I have enjoyed using it just as what it is with just the animals. And that I have actually used quite a bit just as the animals itself, not so much the system or the guidebook. So that's an animal. So these three are just kind of straight up animals. This is definitely one of, I love this deck. So this is the Animal Spirits Knowledge cards with the artwork of Susan Seddon-Boulay. And so this has animals. And then on the back of it, it talks about their symbology. It talks about how different cultures see them. It has that information. It goes with the Goddess Knowledge cards. And I love to use this. I use this quite a bit. I really do like, sometimes you'll see a form, but mostly this particular one is animals. And it definitely has that sort of animal spirit guidey feel to it, and it's quite stunning. And I use this a lot, and also use this in conjunction with the goddess cards. But that's Animal Spirits. This is a Wolfpack one. I've actually filmed a long time ago a walkthrough, and then I lost it, and I need to redo it. So this was gifted to me by Miss Stone, and this is one of her favorite. It calls it a tarot deck, but it's not. It is fully it's fully a oracle deck, and it's kind of one of those quirky cartomancy ones. Some of the meanings are pretty funny because they'll be very specific, like such and such is going to happen in 3.5 months or something like that, where you're like, okay, really? Like, how do you know that? Or the next 12 months. It's got a blend of oracle and cartomancy, but I really do love that it has so these are all drawings of wolves. It's called the Wolfpack Tarot Deck. So we have Fulfillment and Rejoice and Be Alert, Hidden Forces, Security. Some of them are horizontal and some are not. Danger, where we do have a man with a rifle. We have Anger, Intent. It's actually a really lovely, when I first started trying to work with it, I couldn't quite figure out what to do with it. It didn't quite read well for me until it was very much similar for me to the Rackham Oracle. And once I realized those significators are there for a reason, it started to make a lot more sense to me. So I use it very similar to the Rackham in that I will shuffle in and then I will look for the significator card. Of course, there's 78 cards, which there's quite a lot in Rackham too. So once I find the significator, like here's the alpha male, male, right? Then I would look to the card on either side, and we have risk and we have loss. So there's some things that we need to pay attention to there, right? And so I started to use it that way, and I need to remake a walkthrough of this because it's actually really a great, it's got a very much light and shadow built into it. It has things like truth and leadership, but it has entrapment and fear and anger. Those aren't those, but I'm just naming some that I know. You know, home, but they also have battle, temptation. So it's actually quite a lovely deck with these gorgeous drawings of wolves. So I need to remake the walkthrough of this beautiful deck. You can still get a hold of it. The artwork is by Robert Petro. So that's another one. But this is an oracle deck. It says tarot. It's not a tarot deck. It's an oracle deck, and it's more. It kind of moves a little bit more, like I said, along the lines of cartomancy. So that's that one. And then lastly, which again I haven't done a walkthrough yet because I haven't worked a lot with it. I just have it. Got it for my birthday from my daughter. And these are animal runes. So they have a keyword, and then so dolphin, new hope, chameleon, opportunity, rabbit, wait, which is quite interesting, right? Rat for industrious, hawk for visions, raven for shapeshift, fox for magic, cicada for past. So these are runes that use kind of that sort of animal energy. And so I do still need to do a walkthrough of this. I'll try to actually do that soon so it can all kind of tie in together with this. So that is basically an oracle system, right? It's runes, but you're going to function, use it sort of as an oracle system. So I need to, again, I do need to do a walkthrough of this particular thing, but I have this, and I have drawn, I'll pull 3 from it, and I do quite enjoy it. So I have used it a little bit, but this is by Ted Andrews. This is something you can still get, and so I will try to get that up. A walkthrough. So that's the other thing that I have. So those are the oracles that I would say, are all, I have some other ones that could cross over, but have more humans in it. So I'm trying to kind of stay true to it. I have 2 other decks that I feel, or 3 other decks that sort of go along with this. These are nature-based. They're not animal-based at all, but they're nature-based. The other one I have, which you can't get, is a Bard's Lament poetry oracle, but so it has quotes on it, and these are her own photographs. But it's very natural feeling. It's plants and flowers and trees and sunsets and landscapes and many plants. Gorgeous. This is very much based in the natural world. So that's kind of like I guess a subcategory for me, just in terms of thinking about working in shamanic energy type mindset, which I'll talk about more in the next video. But the natural world, also functions in that. So that these are kind of natural world. The winged enchantment, I feel, even though there are human forms in each one of the cards, it's tapping into the spirit of animals. So I don't feel like, I personally feel like this is a bird deck. You know what I'm saying? We're tapping into the finch energy. We're tapping into eagle energy, robin energy. So this one I personally take as an animal oracle deck, but it does have human forms in every single card. So that's kind of a little bit of a crossover, but in terms of reading with it, I feel like this is quite strongly a bird deck. Like it's definitely an animal deck. The spirit of animals, the energy of the animals. No, I cannot fit those both back in there, which is really annoying. I have to get a bag for it. But so that personally goes to me in the animal decks, but it does have human forms in it. And then I also have this that Miss Amber had sent me, and this is a, I know, you're going to say dragons are not animals. Yeah, well, there could have been at one time, right? So, but it still feels, again, this is a majors only deck is basically what this is, and it uses dragons. There is human form in, I think, maybe 2 cards. Maybe it's just that one. I wish they hadn't have put that person in there. So, that would just left it fully dragon. But to me, this functions as certainly an animal energy type deck, but maybe kicked up. Like you have dragons in the animal spirit, and you have dragons in... There's another one I have that we saw dragons in. So I do have that as well. I don't work a whole lot with majors only decks, but I do love this one and have used it. Just kind of using it as an oracle deck. So that's what I have. So these are kind of qualifiers, a little bit qualified here, but there we go. So this is a look at all of the decks that I have that I feel like tap into animal spirit, animal energy, and then some with the sort of natural world as well that just don't have human figures involved in it. And so there you go. I just wanted to kind of start things off with this, and I'm going to be doing the next video looking at sort of the way that I view the world and the way that I view things in a spiritual way. Looking at a couple of books as well, and kind of work our way through this topic, and this just is a fun way to get it started. So there you have it. I hope you found this interesting and that you have an absolutely wonderful night.